All right, let's get started. Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to day 4 and the final day for our guest speakers of Shark Week 2021. As always, my name is Keith here with Shark Indicators. We've been involved in the NinjaTrader ecosystem since 2011, providing tools like Bloodhound and Blackbird that help traders be more productive and in control of their own trade systems. We're always looking for ways to add to the trader's toolkit, and this webinar and Shark Week is a big part of that mission. Before I pass it off, let's take a quick look at the risk disclosure. Futures, foreign currency, and options trading contains substantial risk and is not for every investor. And past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. So be smart and careful. Rob is president of Axiom Research and Trading, Inc., the mother company to the oiltradingroom.com and indicatorsmart.com. Rob has been the largest E-mini S&P trader in the world at various times and has won the prestigious Robins World Cup E-mini Trading Championship. He has been a trading system developer for nearly 3 decades. He is a proving researcher, trading system developer, trading educator, presenter, and mentor, helping others to achieve their dreams as traders. So Rob, with that, you can unmute and share your screen. Let's get started.
Hey guys, thanks for coming in today. Thanks Keith for the introduction. And does everybody see the screen all right? I hope so. Give me a yes if you do. Cool. Yeah, thank you. So we're gonna cover a lot of really cool stuff today. Guys, I'm gonna build a system. This is kind of like 3 webinars in one, maybe more. Yeah. So we're going to take some broad strokes over the whole thing: trading system design, building, and analysis, with a focus on the difference that makes a difference. I'm going to cover some things that kind of key in on what's behind building a good system in alignment with what Keith is saying and everything. What are methods that you can use to build good trading systems? Yeah. And so with that being said, let's go ahead. We already covered the risk disclosure. I usually throw in here, past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. There's a risk of loss trading futures, but also don't use the grocery money to trade. At the end of the webinar today, I'm going to give you a link to important resources. I'll give you resources to go beyond what we cover here today. I'm going to cover a lot, and so you might want to take notes. I've been building trading systems since 1991. You didn't even have software back then to do it. I had to use my own software, and built my first trading systems in a Borland Paradox database. Before there was even any software to do it. And so I've come a long way. And so hopefully I can impart some cool ideas for you today to help you in your system building. Some key concepts first off. Trading system building, including theory and application. We're going to cover what's behind building a good system. And then we're going to look at trading system analysis. I'm going to cover some concepts in that, just broad strokes, and integration of trading system analysis with Bloodhound, and how you can hone in on the difference that makes a difference in your trading. So we're going to cover aspects of trading system design that get you better success, robustness, and sustainability, concepts that are behind what makes a successful trading system work. First, we're going to build a trading system. It's one. Then we're going to export the results from Bloodhound from the system for analysis in Smart TradeMarkers. Is something that we use. I think you're going to like it. And along the way, we're going to cover some important system building analysis concepts that help you to build better systems, and then the analysis. And so it's kind of like 3 webinars in one: theory, system building, and analysis. And beyond. So what builds a good system? Well, excuse me, basically I break that down into 4 main components, 4 quadrants of good system trading design. And the first one, first and foremost, is price action, trend, and market structure. And that includes the bar type that you're choosing. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too. Order flow and order flow momentum is category number 2. Number 3, momentum, meaning price momentum, and support and resistance. And then there's another category I could throw in there, specialty, things that don't fit neatly into those 4 main quadrants. Yeah. Sometimes those involve feeding an indicator into another indicator that gives you information about the state that the indicator that you're using is in, things like that. Or things like what we call market mapping, where you're actually looking at the shape that the market will take on any given day, and we'll actually map that out with probabilities and everything. It's pretty cool. So first, what are the components that we're going to use and why have we chosen them? Yeah. So when building a system, we always start with a bar type. Yeah. So most traders don't necessarily think about it too much. They read a trading book and it's like, okay, I'm going to use a 5-minute bar. 5-minute bar, or whatever they might have seen in a trading book or whatever. Yeah. So why? Why is the bar type decision important? Well, because it's a decision as to the nature of the data that you're feeding into your indicators. Some bar types are better than others for different kinds of applications, depending on the kind of system that you're building. Some bar types are themselves like indicators. You can think of the bar type itself as an indicator due to the nature of its design. So we could take an example, the 5-minute bar. Everybody, all the trading books and everything. It's very common to see 5-minute bars. Well, what's the problem with a 5-minute bar? Well, the ranges vary all over the place, and the close of the bar is random. So a 5-minute bar, as I've done studies on this, it only closes at its high or low about 12% of the time. So where that 5-minute bar closes is going to feed information to your indicators based on where it's closing. And that's important. So here's an example of a 5-minute bar. So you can see that the entire range on this chart, on this 5-minute bar, you can see the entire range on this chart is, and I didn't necessarily, pick this out or anything, but just pointing out to you, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5-minute bars define the entire range of the day, or of the interval that we're looking at. 5 bars out of all the bars that are on here. And so that's kind of interesting, because what happens with a time-based bar, like 5-minute bar, it may not be related to trend a lot of the time, and at other times it may be. But the basis of the bar is time. It's unrelated to trend, order flow, momentum, or support resistance. And the bar closes at random. And very often when you look at a 5-minute chart, if you do it the way I did it there, you could see, oh, well, there's just 5 bars that make the whole range of the day out of, maybe there's 80 bars on this chart or something like that. So this is a bar that we use in our trading room. It's called the Smart Super Renko. That's what I call a structured bar. That's not random. It's not random. It's extremely related to market structure. That fits into our first quadrant. First quadrant, price action, market structure. And the bars related to momentum, price momentum, and order flow momentum both, because the bar always closes at its high or low. And that's important. Another thing that you'll see, you'll in a bar like this, you'll see certain patterns that'll occur. And what we've done is we've pattern classified all these different structures into known statistical profiles. With a bar like the Smart Super Renko. And then we've got the, this is the ultimate order flow bar. This bar is based on order flow momentum. It also is not random. It'll tend to close at its high. You can see as it's going up, it's closing at its highs, more or less. It's closing low on a red bar, high on a green bar. But what a bar like this is going to do is when you feed that into your indicator, it's always going to be giving you a reading that's at the extreme of the range for the interval. Yeah. Whereas so you know, like the 5-minute bar, it's could be giving you random data within the trend structure. This bar and the one before, the Smart Super Renko, is going to feed you data at the extreme where the buying and selling pressure is its strongest. Yeah, and so that's why that's important. So bar type is an extremely important choice. Yeah. And it should be related to your intent. Yeah. So if you're doing like a momentum related system, probably don't want to be using 5-minute bars. So today we're going to build a trend system that's based on momentum and order flow momentum. And we're going to use another indicator supporting the trend. We're going to use a third component providing structural interpretation. Yeah. So of the 4 quadrants that we're talking about, we've got the bar, now, which is price action and momentum. And then in the momentum category, the bar also acts, like I was saying before, like an indicator. It's a momentum related bar type. And it is also an order flow momentum bar type. Yeah. And then we're going to use a third component for the structural interpretation. We're going to take wave counts. Yeah, that's essentially what we're going to do. So for this type of a system, a momentum and order flow momentum-based system, of those 3 bar types, which one might we prefer? Yeah. And the answer is the ultimate order flow bar. Yeah. Yeah. So then once we get that, we made a determination about our bar, and then we're going to put something on there to get the trend so that if it's chopping, it'll help it to, it'll help the system to stay in alignment with the trend. Yeah. And then we're going to use this indicator, the smart price band, for adjusting to the directional price change. And historically, this indicator has about a 20% edge over random. You know, random being 50%, right? Well, it gives you, it adds about 20% or above random or 70% as a component. So like of the 3 components that we're using, order flow and order flow momentum, trend, you know, and then structure, this thing's going to contribute about 70% to the overall system performance, yeah, of the 3 of them. And I think I'm going to cover, I got a little a guideline for how that works. Yeah. So then we're going to add the smart 1, 2, 3 for the market structure. So the smart 1, 2, 3 is a special way of determining market structure that is sequential and contextual. Yeah. So you get like counts going higher or lower in the structure, and we're going to take trades with that structure that's going with the trend. You know, so that that indicator is going to track the price action trend counts in both the up and down directions according to the input specifications that we're going to use for the indicator, the parameters that we're going to use for the indicator. So the smart 1, 2, 3 makes it possible to see market structure on any bar type, and how to know when you do not theoretically have opposing time frames. And I'm going to show you something. I had put together a system for today, and I had another user contribute some modifications that he made to the system, and then he sent it over to me, and I loaded his file. I'm going to share that with you a little bit later in the webinar. Yeah. So this specific area of analysis it's taken me years actually to figure this out. And the areas on the chart that are trapping or trending can be seen and counted with this particular tool. You know. So of the core 4 quadrants, again, we got the ultimate order flow bar as order flow and order flow momentum. And then we're going to get the smart price band in there to make sure we're not chopping. And then the smart 1, 2, 3 is for the price action. Yeah. So of the 4 quadrants, we got 3 out of 4 of them going. You could make an argument that we've got 4 of them going, but I just chunked these order flow and order flow momentum into one category on its own. Yeah. So 3 of the 4 of them. So these indicators have an edge in and of themselves, like we talked about smart price band, you know, being 20% above random or about 70%. Then, so if we're putting together a system with these kinds of concepts behind it that we've discussed up to this point, without any optimization or special effort or, optimizing, back testing, all that kind of stuff, we've got 3 out of the 4 components of a well-designed trading system. We should get a better than random result without trying to even improve it. Yeah, just when we code it up. And so the system that we're going to do today, I haven't optimized it, I haven't back tested, I haven't anything. I just put it together on this concept as kind of a proof of concept, if you will, of how to build a trading system that's going to give you a result because you built it structurally from the ground up based on the concepts that we're discussing. It's should have a better than random result, right? So given that, we're going to build a system, then we're going to export it, and we're going to do some even cooler stuff. Yeah. So today we're building a technical trading system. Now, this falls into the category of what I call a technical trading system. There's other kinds of trading systems that might be called tactical. Yeah, technical trading systems typically involve triggering trades at points where there are known cause and effect relationships between price and an entry and metrics that are known to be predictive. The purest example of this would be arbitrage. Arbitrage is where you basically, when you enter the trade, you're locking in a known profit. Yeah. The next level of it might be predictive metrics such as specifically order flow and order flow momentum. But in this particular system design, we're not really narrowing in on that on a bar level thing. So it's not pure cause and effect at the entry level. And for that reason, today's system that we're building leans more towards the technical side than a tactical kind of a trading system. But this is I threw this slide in here because this is an important distinction. Let me see what this next slide is, guys. Yeah, so we're going to build a system. Yeah, we're going to build a system in Bloodhound. These bars here that we're looking at on this screenshot are the ultimate order flow bars. This is the smart price bands on here. And then you see these counts on here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No. Now you'll notice also on this, you can have some counts that are against. You could get into a situation where, it's going 1, 2, 3 going down, or 1, 2, 3 going up, but you might have some counts going the other way. Yeah, you could have counts going against. So for example, right here, you get a 3 count, but it's breaking the 5 count. And so, it's probably going from there, but the system won't trigger it until the smart price bands have rolled over. Yeah. So given that, in the past, when we had built system in here, I did it entirely from scratch. And, though that's kind of cool, I thought today what I would do is I've already got the system built. So I'm just going to go over I'm going to open up Bloodhound, we're going to look at it from there, and I'm going to go over the way it all got the way it all got built. Yeah, rather than try to build it from scratch and let me wonder if I'm doing it right. So here we're inside a Bloodhound. And so what I did was I got my bar on there. I got my bar on there. And what I did here was I said, okay, well, if the smart price bands, I set this to a 12, I think. Yeah, I set it to a 12. Smart price band set to a 12. And this looks at it to the long side. And then I put another one in here to look at it from the short side. There's a short side. There's also a 12. And that's the same as the bands that are on the screen. So both of them have rolled over. Red can take short trades. Both of them have rolled over going up, and it can take long trades. So that's filtering in that respect. And then the other component is the smart 1, 2, 3. And for this particular system, I'm only going to take counts of 3. So a lot of times when I develop an indicator, because I'm a partner with Shark, what we do is we design these indicators so that they output their state to Bloodhound. So it makes it super easy to code. Because a lot of times coding could get really complicated. So what this thing is doing is, if it's got an up count, it can go long. If it's got a down count, it can go short. I'm just using these are just defaults for what I had. No optimization or anything. And if it gets a 3 count or the 3 count is active, it's gonna send a 1 to Bloodhound. So if the smart price band is sloping up and I got a 3 count going up, I'm going to go long, right there. And if the smart price bands are sloping down and I got a -3 count going down, I'm going to go short. And then all those go together, the and condition. So if the smart price band is sloping up, that's this one, and I got a 3 count going up, I'm going to go long. If the smart price band is sloping down and I got a -3 count going down, I'm going to go short. That's the whole system. Nothing more, nothing less. Simplest thing in the world. Now, I'd mentioned earlier, I've been building trading systems since 1991. I have never seen, it can happen, but I've never seen a trading system that was super complex that really worked that well. And so there's a lot to be said for simplicity, but further yet still, back to the same point that we already discussed, there's a lot to be said for designing from the ground up, the way we've done in this discussion. Now this is the whole system. Now, you could export this into NinjaTrader, but that gets kind of complicated. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to take, I think this is the actual chart. So what I'm going to do now that we've gone over all the different aspects of the system. So it's just going to go long on the 3s with the smart price band. It's going to go long on the 3s. It's going to go short on the reds. On the three counts. This 3 is still active the way I coded it. I could get more specific with that and narrow it down to a bar, in which case it would have gone short there instead. And we'll cover some of that in a minute. So, but instead of trying to look at that in NinjaTrader, we're going to export that to a program that we use called TradeMarkers for analysis and discussion. And then we're also going to cover how to change your parameters quickly for further analysis. So, but before we do that, what's TradeMarkers? So we do a lot of intraday trading in the trading room, and we narrow the trading down to a highly specific things that have highly specific probabilities associated with them. Yeah. And so TradeMarkers originally, what it enabled us to do is to simply mark the trades on the chart. Yeah, just to mark the trades on the chart. So like I could go into here, and I could just take all those red. I could take the red one, and I could mark it. Yeah, or a red one, I could mark it. Now this would roll over. Yeah, take the red one, and I could mark it. Yeah, I could mark it. Yeah, like that. And then I could pull that up and open that up, and I can get my result right there. Yeah, I can put the name of the system in there. I got ultimate order flow bar with smart price band and 3 count. Yeah. What's cool about that is that I can then do my statistics on that. I can see my trades. If I want to see a specific trade, say I want to see a trade that was a loser, I can click that, and it'll go right to the trade. So like if I want to analyze things that were losers, I can just pop to any point on the chart. Oh, I want to look at that one. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, I want to look at that one. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So I can look at the group trades with all, there's 3 contracts in this. I can look at the overall statistics for the whole system. I can break it down by the day. I can break it down by the hour of the day. I could go in and say, well, there's certain times of the day this doesn't work so well. I could go back and click the buttons that we did before. But on these advanced options, what I have here is the capability of actually loading the trades directly out of Bloodhound. Yeah. Unload the trades directly out of Bloodhound and just say add the entries from Bloodhound. I could also add the exits from Bloodhound. Yeah, pretty cool, yeah. Further still, and this connects, I told you I was working with another user earlier. I'd sent him the code for this system, and he came back and he gave me this system with some modifications that he had made. So he can actually send that over to me in a file, and I can actually load that up and look at his exact system using the exact same things with the parameters and the changes that he had made. That'll go across any time frame anywhere on the planet. It's pretty cool. So this particular system, as we've done it, just ultimate order flow bar with smart price band and a 3 count. Like I said, it's not a tactical system. It's not trying to be that tight on it. It's just trying to catch trends. So this panel over here shows me what I'm doing with my contracts. I have 3 lot, and it takes off 1 at 5 ticks, 1 at 10 ticks, and 1 at 20 ticks. You got a 20 tick stop. So I can immediately go in here and I can say, well, what'll happen? I'm at 69.53. This panel over here is the summary. Yeah, it shows me I took 313 trades. And that first leg was 86% win rate. Yeah, 2150 of the overall performance was that first lot. Yeah. When we designed this, I had them put in the edge. Edge is a really cool number because it enables us to see how much we're beating break even by. I had a $4.40 commission on here, and we're beating break even by 6% for the first lot. For the second lot, we're beating it by 9%. And then we see we got a little bit of a drop there on that 20 tick. So maybe I want to try that out at 15 ticks instead of 20. and see I'm at 69.53, and I want to see, and I'm 86.76.54, and I just recalc that. Yeah. Ooh, I jumped to 86.40 when I did that. Yeah. What if I wanted to make the stop a little bit smaller? I wanted to try a 16 tick stop. We're at 86.40. Oh, shoot, man, that didn't change it very much. Yeah. Expectancy is about 72 ticks per campaign for the 3 lots overall. Profit factor about 1.67. Maximum favorable excursion due to the targets, about $95 for median favorable. And then it shows me what my adverse excursion is. By looking at these 2 sets of numbers, I can see whether or not how efficient the entries are. Because if these numbers are bigger than the favorable numbers, then it tells me that I'm taking a lot of heat on the trades. But this is well within the acceptable kind of range. I can put trailing stops on there. You know, I'm at 8,600. I put a 10 tick trailing stop on there, and it goes up even higher. You know, I could put another. I could put a trailing. This is once it goes 10 ticks, it goes to break even +1. You know, I could say, well, once I go 10, I'll trail by 10. I'll try that out. Notice none of these things really changing it that much. That's because the system's fairly robust. Yeah, I could put an EMA trailing stop on there. You know, I could flatten at the end of the day. Another thing I could do with this, if I had another system and I wanted to see how it was working with this, I could import that system, or I could go on and mark more trades and have it add to this, and then I could save that. I could send it to another user or anything like that. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you on this system, so that's kind of some of the basics on TradeMarkers, yeah. But one of the things I wanted to share with you is I could go in just on the fly. I could go back into our code, and let's say, because the reason I just did that on the 3s was because I wanted to be very specific. Yeah, I don't want to just take them all. What this is enabling me to do, the way I design this system, it's enabling me to see it for any given set. So what if I decided, oh, well, what if we trade on 4 counts instead of 3s? Yeah, that's going to be a more developed trend if we do that. Yeah, I'll do the 4, and then I could go in and I could delete all these off of here, and then I could re-import the system from Bloodhound. I'll go over here, I'll say advanced options. I'm going to add the entries from this changed system to Bloodhound for the 4 counts. Yeah, and then that'll give me the result for that. It's not quite as profitable, but this is kind of telling me, you know, look at this, you know, my edge goes 8, 10, 9. It's dropping off a little bit on that 3rd one again. But what this is telling me is that the 4 count is also viable. Yeah, the 4 count is also viable. I could go in and change these things, and then just go right back over to here, and I could bring up the Bloodhound again, and I could go in and I could say, well, shoot, man, what if I did a 5 count? Now, what if I traded on the 5 counts? As I go up the trend, the probabilities are kind of going against me, yeah, because I've counted 5 times now, but, you know, and throw it in there. F5 chart. And I could delete those off, and I can re-import them. Just takes a second. Advanced options. Load this guy. And it looks like the 5 counts are still doing okay. Yeah. So so that's the way I can kind of go back and forth between these things and see for any specific case what kind of probability I have. Why is that important that I would This one's still on the 4 count, but anyways, I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. But why would it be important that I would make these entries specific to which counts they are in the trend? Well, because if I do that, then I know for any given count what my probabilities are. Yeah. And so when I do that, I can start getting into things that we call probability stacking. So let me see what we've got for this next slide. I'll just go over these real quick. So for TradeMarkers, gives you the ability to manually mark trades on your chart so you can analyze your entries and refine your system, or to import your trades from Bloodhound for analysis. Enables you to quickly determine the viability of your system. Just like 5 seconds, bam, you got it. Unless you load like 90 days on the chart on a bar that generates a lot of bars, and it might take a little bit longer, but enables you to establish a probability for your system for use in probability stacking. Now, I want to tell you, there is a method called Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem. So if I have an independent entry that I've coded, and the probability for that entry to say 5 ticks is 84%, then I know that, we covered earlier, okay, well, the smart price band has given us 70, and then the between the order flow bar and the smart price band, I'm getting 84 total. 84 total for that to 5 ticks, and then I'm getting 72 to 10 ticks and 60 to 15 ticks. But if I'm entering a trade at a minimum, if I know it's going in my favor by at least 5 ticks 84% of the time, then what I call that is a manageable trade situation. Manageable trade situation. I could set this to go to a break even at 6 ticks. That doesn't change the system that much. When I do that, look what happens. I get 84% on that first one, but because I went to a break even at 6 ticks, I lock in at 79%. And then look what happens to my edge on those remaining legs. Wow. Wow, that's pretty cool. So what's interesting about this is when you go over to Blackbird or just a NinjaTrader ATM, these are actually your inputs to the ATM. This is designed around that. And so you take these exact numbers and you can put them in there for that. But it looks like on this particular system, I might want to go to a break even pretty quickly and then lock in a really nice edge for the remaining legs. And so it gives me a pretty quick handle on what it is that I'm working with. So in probability stacking, I might have put a slide on here for it, but I'll just cover it right here. If I've got 3 75s, 3 components that are 75% each, or if I've just got 2 of them, that takes me to 90%. So I would handle this as one of the inputs. If I had another, that's why I said you can use TradeMarkers to add another system on top of it. If I'm getting 2 systems that are happening at the same time to these probabilities, then I'm either getting simultaneous or I'm getting sequential probabilities to continue, which will take you on into these areas. And so that can be a real game changer for you. But the general rule is this: but I just use 75 because I won't accept anything less than 75. If something's less than 75, I'm not interested in it. Or at least 68, but generally 75. If I have 2 75s, I'm playing for 90%. If I get 3 75s, I'm playing for 96%. Probability stacking. Awesome concept for building trading systems. So what else can TradeMarkers do? Well, let you save your results, and you can collaborate with other users across time zones. We already talked about that. Enables you to join or combine systems onto the same chart. We talked about that. Enables you to edit the exported or manual marked trades on the chart. Remember how I showed you, you click it and it goes right to the trade? Well, I could delete that off of there, or I could move it. Yeah. And so what that's letting me do is letting me get down to the actual execution level that's happening on the chart. And because I'm doing that visually, I can understand how the trades, what it's like for them experientially. I'll tell you another cool thing that TradeMarkers does. If you mark a trade on a chart live, it'll update it live. I love that feature of it. So you can paper trade with TradeMarkers with your system in Bloodhound, either with it in Bloodhound using automation within Bloodhound, but you can also manually mark it on the chart and it'll carry your trade through and show you how it behaved live. Yeah, I love that feature. So it enables you to set trades based on bar closes, exact entries, and exits also. Yeah. So TradeMarkers versus, what's the advantages of TradeMarkers over like doing this with NinjaTrader? NinjaTrader, in my experience, kind of cumbersome. You couldn't really go back and forth and do these kinds of things that we're doing here and really get down to the nitty gritty of it. Yeah. So, but TradeMarkers is easier for testing your targets and your stop strategies. You got 3 profit targets: initial stop, loss value, break-even stop, trailing stops, the EMA stop. We discussed all these things. Yeah. Importing the indicator based on exits in Bloodhound, sharing with other users, and quickly alter parameters and retesting. Yeah. So what might have taken hours and hours and hours or even days to do, you can now do it in, with this kind of capability, you can do it in just a few minutes. So this kind of a working environment, it lets you analyze countless factors when adding and removing trade entries, exits based on all that information. Yeah. And it supports, can be used, if you're a discretionary trader, can really help you to hone in on it. And that's not, if you do discretionary trading, the automated method will often give a very different kind of result if you code it up. Yeah. So this approach can also be used to quickly modify the template, and you can analyze all the signals. Yeah. So now we save the data file. I think we already covered all these. Yeah. So we can analyze our winners and losers real quickly. We talked about the edge already. You can see how at a glance how effective the system is. Yeah. I put in here a lot on TradeMarkers because the capabilities are just insane, but I didn't want to spend too much of the webinar just on this, but I wanted to get the information to you. So this was one, I've pasted this in here. Maybe this was yesterday. This is one of the variations of the system that we just looked at with the 20 tick stop and everything. We honed this into some better values. Yeah. So if your result is good, you can use a method with other methods. We talked about that. Yeah. And this is, I'm summing up base theorem right here, 75% win rate. And you have another system that's happening at the same point on the chart. That's 90%. If you add a third one, it's 96%. If you add a fourth one, you're up to 99% theoretical win rate. Yeah. This is called Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem is huge. I teach that daily in the trading room. Yeah. Sometimes they don't exactly line up, and that's what can make coding hard-coded mechanical trading systems difficult, because it can become really complicated to code non-entirely simultaneous stacked probabilities. Yeah. But when you do get this kind of stacking, it can be a real game changer for you. Yeah. Sometimes in the trading room, they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these things all lined up at the same time. Yeah. I could get into some other details of that, but I won't. But Why do we do that? Well, because if one of them fails, let's say I got 4 things on my chart that tells me I'm going, but one of them has entirely failed. Well, where am I? Well, I'm still at 96. Yeah. What if I'm got 4 things on my chart all lined up at the same time, and 2 of them have completely failed? Not likely the way we're designing, but I'm still at 90%. Yeah. That's why this is important. You know, so like I said earlier, I didn't do any optimization. We took it and we optimized a bit, but we started with the system that I had done initially. Yeah. And we improved the system a little bit. Now, could the system be improved code-wise? Well, certainly it could. Yeah. So what we have here, we've just taken broad strokes. We built the system based on solid, known system building concepts, the 4 quadrants. Yeah. So there's a huge difference between this kind of approach and data mining or bulk optimization or backtesting, you know. And like I said, we cover these kinds of concepts in a trading room every day, you know, in all different kinds of different ways. So I could do it now. I had, like I said, I was collaborating with another user earlier. I sent my code over to him and I said, hey, you want to mess around with this? He goes, sure. Yeah. And so let's see what he did. Yeah. He took my basic system, which was just these 3 nodes, and he added, on my suggestion, I said, well, why don't you try it so that there's no opposing counts? So it'll only take the trade if the opposing count on the, it'll only take the trade if the opposing count is a 1, or if you're through a 1. You could also code this system to trade breakouts on 1s. Yeah, trading breakouts on 1s. You could code the system that way if you wanted to. That'd be an entirely different system though. So what he did was he coded this thing up so it said, well, if you've got an opposing count that's greater than 1, then don't take the trade. And then the other one he did, I'd mentioned this earlier, said, okay, well, I'm only going to do it on reversal bars, so I don't, because if you notice that first system, we had some that fired after the trigger, because like if the smart price band changed, it would get into the trade, you know, theoretically late. So he put this filter on there. And let's take a look. He sent that file over to me. How did he send the file over to me? He sent the file over to me here, and I just loaded it. I load TradeMarker and settings. So let's see what kind of result he got with doing some of his refinements. Yeah. He got this thing up to 85%. He was using a 20 tick stop. What would happen? Let's take the break-even stop off. The break-even stop's contributing a good bit, so we probably want to keep that. What if we drop this guy down to 16 ticks for the stop? 7,800 got a little bit better. What if we drop it down to 12? That cuts the performance about 40%. So I don't want to go smaller than 16. We could get into a big discussion about stops, but that might be a little bit beyond what we want to do. Break-even stop at 10 ticks, 9,100, by not taking the opposing counts. Now, going back to the original concept, would I expect that the system would perform better where I have opposing counts? And the answer is yes, I would, because if I've got opposing counts, it means I'm what? Chopping. Yeah, I'm chopping. What if we drop this down to a break even at 6 like we did with the other one? Drops it a lot. So when you're doing the opposing counts, you want to give it some breathing room. You know? Does that make sense? Oh, sure it does. Yeah. So we could call this one ultimate order flow bars, smart price band, smart 1, 2, 3, and no opposing. Now we could go into his parameters and mess around with them and do different kinds of opposing counts and all that kind of stuff, but I think you get the gist of what we're dealing with here. Yeah. So let's see what else I got here for you. So everything that we discussed so far, Yeah, can be used to achieve results like, what we're seeing here without optimization or any of that kind of stuff, really, based on a good solid design. So that was the number one point I wanted to get. Base your system design on good principles of the 4 quadrants. Teach that in your trading room daily. And throw that stuff into TradeMarkers so you can get down to the execution level analysis, going back and forth a few times. You'd know pretty much instantly whether or not it's viable. It should be viable. So if it's not viable, maybe something's wrong, or something's wrong with the way you're thinking. So it's a great teaching tool as well, because it's feeding back to you what works. And you can, a lot of times with this kind of a setup, you can do in minutes. I had one guy got TradeMarkers a while back, and he came back and he goes, wow, what used to take me days to do, I can now do in minutes. But what's another key point with TradeMarkers? It lets you test the way you trade. That's no small thing. You should always be trading the way you've tested, because if you're not, you're kind of going off the rails. You're on tilt. So when you're trading, you want to make sure you're getting the execution that's the system's based on. Now with a system like this, where it goes 15, 20 ticks or whatever, it's not as critical. But on some kind of systems, it might be more critical, and by looking at the results, you can kind of tell. I'd mentioned this too. You can use TradeMarkers to trade live. You click it live, and at the end of the day, you can check all your trades. Awesome way of sim trading. And it gives you full statistics at the end of the day. You're like, how did I do today? Boom, click the button, there it is. So, let's kind of do a little review here, So we've covered system building theory and application of the 4 main quadrants. We didn't use the support resistance quadrant. We could throw that into the equation, but this support resistance, that's a whole nother topic. Support resistance, I consider those kinds of things to be pulling. And there's certain kinds of support resistance. There's support resistance where the probability of it going to it is increasing as you go. And there's other kinds of support and resistance that are decreasing as you go. That's an important distinction, Because if you've got accelerating probability as you go, you can possibly, your chances of holding out for a target are increasing. Especially if you've got signals that are stacking on the way. So we've covered building a basic trading system in Bloodhound. We exported the results for analysis. We covered how to use your research to stack with other systems. And because of the, this is a 1-hour webinar here, I can't cover everything. But be aware that something that I might just say as a glib kind of statement or something might have years and years of a lot of thinking behind it and a lot of experience. So, but these kinds of broad strokes of system building are foundational elements that I would urge that you will use when you're coding stuff up in Bloodhound and everything to build things on these kinds of principles. And I cover these kinds of concepts in the trading room daily because my career, my life, I've been very blessed to live the life of a trader. I have a lot of freedom. Another thing about all these tools is I didn't develop the tools to sell them. I developed the tools because I'm using them now. But then what's cool is because we have a trading room, people ask me questions. A lot of times the simplest question on the trading room turns into amazing things. And so, but a day doesn't go by where I'm not learning something. I can't think of a single day. So there's a lot of other patterns that we teach, and mainly in the trading room, like I said, we use the Smart Super Renko. I put it as just infinite combinations of systems together using the quadrants that we've discussed. Many of these have really good theoretical hit rates, predictive value, can add to other signals. 275 is 90, 3 is 96, 4 is 99. And I call these the smart patterns trading systems or collections of trading tools. Yeah. So when you trade this way that we're talking about, it's not like your usual kind of stuff. And this kind of a system design is inclined to stand the test of time. And I just said it in passing, but like I said, if you got 4 things lined up and you're at the 99% and 2 of them failed, you're still at 90. Yeah. So it's a lot better than traditional methods of building trading systems, because the statistics each stand on their own independently. The way we've designed, the way we built the trading system. Yeah, we got very specific, like we did the 3 count. Oh, we did the 4 count. Yeah. And based fundamentally on the way market works. Yeah. How's the market work? There's price action, there's order flow momentum, support resistance. Yeah. 4 quadrants. Yeah. So you get the independent, uncorrelated, simultaneous probabilities that are stacked. Holy moly, look at that sentence. Independent. Yeah. So we design for independence. The system stands on its own. Anything else stacking up with it, we can have a pretty good idea we're getting stacking. Yeah. Like I said, sometimes 5, 6, 7, or even more of those things happening all at the same time. So everything else on the charts that we're using here is highly integrated, very intentional. Yeah, it's taken decades. Getting to every component that we're using is, we know exactly what it's contributing, why it's contributing it. Yeah. And that tens of thousands of hours of live observation. So like I did it the other day or in the trading room, I'm like, how long have we been doing this, guys? Yeah, it's 5.5 trading hours a day for 7 years. It's 10,000 hours. Yeah. But then you get members contributing. They've spent 10,000 hours, and everybody spent 10,000 hours. And it's really been amazing. The leap in knowledge that we've had, even in the last 6 months, is pretty astounding. Yeah, that's my opinion. So, summing up, markets fundamentally oriented around certain structural quadrants, patterns and order flow, momentum, price action, support, resistance align with these principles. Why? Because they're fundamental. When they align, you tend to get follow through and stacking. Yeah. Just that simple. Like everything is like on this page. Yeah. The methods fundamentally exploit what is likely to occur entirely based on the way the market moves and works. Yeah. So if what I'm talking about today, if you're like, wow, that's pretty cool, I want to learn more about that, well, consider joining a trading room. I'll give you a resources page in a few minutes. Got some cool stuff on there. So Oil Trading Room is a live application. There's all kinds of training and stuff that we have in there. But we think it's the best way to learn and advance your skills, because it's a live trading environment, and we're talking about everything contextually. Like when the market's really choppy, it can be a lot more difficult to read these kinds of things than when it's trending cleanly, when you've got clean market structure and everything else. So there's some recent comments from users in a trading room. You can see that on the Oil Trading Room website. I'm going to give you a link for that in a minute. We're in the process of rebuilding our website, just like been redoing everything. And we have a lot of really cool new products, developments, upgrades. So this whole thing, I'm going to get to your questions in a minute, guys. But so check this out, guys. When we first started converting to NinjaTrader 8, I paid a programmer a bunch of money to convert the indicators. Well, NinjaTrader 8, let's talk about NinjaTrader 8 just for a moment. The capabilities within NinjaTrader 8 are utterly staggering. Utterly staggering. So it actually took me 4 years to convert our indicators from NinjaTrader 7 to NinjaTrader 8. Yeah, thousands of hours. I'm not saying that to go, oh, well, Rob, poor Rob. But what the reason I am saying it is because when we discovered the capabilities within NinjaTrader that I'd say just a huge number of users don't have any clue of what's in there. We just kept refining. Keith asked me when we met up to do the webinar today, he goes, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "Well, I haven't done hardly any webinars for like several years because like 100% of my focus has been in the development of the tools." Yeah, but we finally got the NinjaTrader 8 conversion all wrapped up a couple weeks ago, and so the new website's going to go live hopefully in the next few days. Pretty much everything on there is in order, and so I'm going to give you like a sneak preview of the new site today. Yeah, it's still on the staging site, but it's entirely functional. And so the way you get there, if you go to Indicator Smart /S123 for Smart 123, that will that'll take you to the new website. Yeah, but specifically it'll take you to a resources page. It shows you, well, what are the indicators we use today. You can learn a little bit about those if you want to. There's a file I put on there for smart TradeMarkers. It has like all the different like bullet points in there down towards the bottom of the page. And then there's some other resources in there for you. But if you like the kinds of thinking that's going on in today's webinar, join the trading room. And you might also, if you like the content that we did today, if you go to Oil Trading Room and you go to social, go join the YouTube channel, and that way when we post videos and stuff, you'll get them automatically. Yeah. And then there's another link on the websites where you can get on our mailing list and stuff. Yeah. If you want to be informed when there's events and things like that. Yeah. So, but the link is indicatorsmart.com /S123. And that takes you into the new website and everything that's in there. Yeah. So don't use that staging. You don't have to use the staging one. Let me go back up. Oh, that's not going to let me add it. I can add it from over here. Yeah. You don't have to do staging, just indicatorsmart.com /123. And then thank you. Yeah. Thanks for coming in and giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about what I do and what I love doing. Yeah. So that being said, well, so Greg is asking, hey, Rob, do you call your trade entries and exits live in the trading room? So here's the thing, Greg. We just discussed for an hour how we got these structural things. What I'm doing in a trading room is I'm pointing out all those things happening on the charts. And, if they're stacked according to your liking, then you can take the trade. And so that's the way I do it. Why? Because there are literally, if you went through the combinational possibilities for all the different signals that we have, just on the trap trader oscillator alone, we got like 30 different signals. There's no way that I can track all of it. That's how advanced it's gotten. And so am I talking about the trades that are setting up on the screen? Absolutely. Am I calling them out? I'm not saying buy at this price. At the beginning of the day, I put the trigger levels on the chart. And if you need help, you can ask. But I can't possibly get them all. We got people in the room that are doing themes and variations and all that kind of stuff. But there's literally so many signals that, a lot of my lecture in the last couple of months has been, well, where don't we have a signal? Start thinking about it in a completely opposite way. Not where is there a signal, where isn't there one? Yeah, that's how many signals we have. It'll literally be like in the thousands of different possibilities. Yeah, and so let me speak on that just for a moment, because this is a really good question that Greg asked. It's really important. You have to decide what you're focusing on. You have to decide what you're focusing on. I got 2 or 3 setups that I'm focusing on mostly. It might not be your thing, but if you need help with your thing, I'll drop everything I'm doing and I'll help you. So Herman's asking, oh, will this work on gold and NQ? Yeah, you bet it will. You bet it will. I may not have the exact probabilities, but like all the concept we discussed, we could have built the system on NQ or ES. Yeah, we could have. I just happened to put it up on crude oil. We also have a stock index trading room. They got signals over there using the same concepts. Yeah. So typically what I will say is that the concepts that we're talking about will work in any reasonably volatile market. You don't want to be doing this stuff in a super choppy market or a non-directional market. I could actually do a whole webinar on the topic of how markets develop their range for the day. We're talking about shape of day things, kind of market mapping kinds of concepts. I teach that in the trading room. So Kevin says we're stealing money. Yeah, so Keith is saying took them a long time, and I know it took them a long time to upgrade, and we even had meetings with Jeremy because of the impossibility of the upgrade. But boy, when we got a handle on it, we started discovering stuff we could do that was just like mind-boggling. So I paid this guy like $5,000 to convert the indicators. It was utterly worthless. And I've spent at least 3 times more than that with all the conversion. Yeah. I'm not telling you that because I'm like, oh, Rob spent all that money. No, I'm not telling you because of that. I'm telling you that that's how capable NinjaTrader 8 is. And as we discovered those capabilities, it was just like, wow. Oh, thanks, Timothy. Timothy's saying this is the best presentation he's ever seen. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Douglas. Yeah. Thank you, Douglas. Nice comments from attendees. Yeah. So let me see. There's 3 more down here. Smart Super Renko, Ultimate Order Flow Bars, your own creation. No, all those are my own creation, Neil. Yeah. And the design behind them and the reasoning behind them. Anytime I build an indicator, well, where do we start? 4 quadrants. Yeah. 4 quadrants. So everything we design, as I said a few minutes ago, everything that's on the chart is highly intentional. Yeah. I'm not saying that to sound cool. I'm saying it because it's true. Did it take a long time to get there? Yeah. It's crazy. But, Einstein said, Albert Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. Well, yeah, so that's what I did. And then I started eventually getting a different result. My first trading system, guys, the one that made it possible for me to live my life as a trader, is 7 years. Yeah. When I started trading, man, I lost money. Yeah. And then I was like, wow, I can't let that ever happen to me again. And I'm the most stubborn guy. Don't ask my wife. She'll say, no, he's more stubborn than that. I worked 7 years. And I finally came up with a trading system that worked. Yeah. And then wind of it got to a brokerage firm in New York. And I get this call one day. He goes, hey, I got 600 brokers who work for me. At the time I was a chef. I owned a restaurant. My background was as a chef, but I mean, I've been developing a trading system since 1991. But anyways, I pick up the phone. The guy goes, hi, my name is, I'm not going to say his name, But anyways, he goes, hi, my name is such and such. He goes, do you know who I am? And I go, no, I don't know who you are. He goes, look, I own a brokerage firm. We got 600 brokers working for us. We want to raise money for you. I was like, oh, okay. Well, the next thing I know, there's more money coming in, money flying all over the place. I got no, okay, hand in your knife and your tongs, and now you're a commodity trading advisor. Yeah, and so that's why and how I became the biggest E-mini trader in the world, because we were trading at the time all told, we're trading about 6,000 or 7,000 lots in the E-minis. Yeah, pretty crazy. We don't do that nowadays. Now I'm kind of like semi-retired really, and I just do the trading room and develop the indicators in my own trading. Well, like I said, most of these indicators were developed for my own use, and then the use of our members and everything else. We have a really nice community there. So anyways, that's really what I have for you. Hopefully some of these concepts will help you to build better systems. Yeah. And go to indicatorsmart.com/S123 to see the new website and the resources page there. Yeah. Any other questions before I wrap it up? Oh, trading room hours would be run from about 8:55 New York time until what, 2:30 New York time daily. Yeah. Yeah, Kevin's saying 7 years in the trading room. We got members that have been there since day one, and it's been a journey. Yeah. Kevin's saying 7 years in the trading room, making a living now doing it. And if this is the Kevin that I think it is, we put down about 6 bottles of French Bordeaux one night in Nice, France. And he said, Rob, you got to help me to become a successful trader. And so Kevin, it brings me in red wine. It brings me great joy to hear you say that. Yeah, thank you. That means a lot to me. Yeah. So on the trading room, the coupon code there is Black Gold 249. And it's not the cheap room. We're not doing indicator promotion there. We're not trying to sell you something. It's a professional room. And so, you know, I charge a little bit more to keep riffraff out. Don't mean to put it in a rude way, but our community is not huge there, and that's intentional. Yeah, but use a coupon code Black Gold 249 at the oil trading room, and the video there, I'll tell you that too. But yeah, so all right, guys, if that's what you got, I'm going to hand it back over to Keith. Keith, thanks for having me today, and thanks everybody for sharing a little bit of your afternoon. With me and let me share what I do and what I love. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Keith.
Great, Rob. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's I had to step away for a few minutes there, and I come back to all these compliments. You know, Douglas right at the end said, you know, the trading room, I assume is what he's talking about, is worth 1,000,000 times more than you charge. Yeah, just compliment after compliment. This is the best presentation I've ever seen. Yeah, Doug. I think Doug was talking or referring back to yesterday when I mentioned that you're going to be probably covering more meat and potatoes for our final guest speaker this week, and he definitely agrees. That's what he got. So really glad that you're very consistently providing great value for any audience that you talk to. So that's really awesome. I'm glad people were able to enjoy that. All right, guys, we're heading towards the final presentation. If you've been in previous Shark Weeks, you know that it is us. It is Shark Indicators presenting on the final day, lucky Friday the 13th. So we'll see how that goes. It is for, in my opinion, if you're going to come back tomorrow or thinking about it, it is for 3 different types of people. So first of all, current Bloodhound owners. A bulk of what we're going to be talking about is actually a sneak peek at upcoming changes. So it's actually going to be the most substantive visual change. This is just a little sneak peek before the sneak peek. It's going to be the most substantive visual change we've ever made to any of our products. Bloodhound, he gave me a rundown. I don't remember the details exactly, but the entire Bloodhound interface is going to look different sometime in the coming months once we get it up to our standards. So that'll be a nice preview of what you're going to see. The second type of person is interested buyers. If you've been in our world, you know this very well. We don't discount our products basically ever, except for Shark Week and Black Friday. So we're not one of those that are constantly offering discounts everywhere we go. We already have great prices by industry standards and you know that if you've been in our world. So if you are interested or thinking about buying Bloodhound or Blackbird or anything we sell, tomorrow is a great time to come in and see what we have to offer. And then also, if you're just curious about Shark Indicator's backstory and Jeremy's backstory, Jeremy is the CEO, he's the founder, he's the programmer of just about everything we built, almost everything. And so if you're kind of curious about kind of what got him into this in 2011 and you know, our origin story, and you just want to hang out, ask questions, shoot the shit, you know, whatever, just come on back in, and we're just looking forward to closing this out really strong. So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Rob, unless you have anything else for us, me, the audience, we will bid you a good evening. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Bye-bye.